Okay, so here I am. I've been newly diagnosed with breast cancer. Of course, like any good Gen Xer, the first thing I did was I went to the internet. And in a very short period of time, of a few hours on that Sunday, I tried to become an expert about DCIS, so ductal carcinoma in situ, cancer. And I guess everybody will chuckle at all the free medical advice you can get on the internet. But I still felt good. I, of course, immediately spoke with many family and friends, and I had a lot of great optimism, and I heard just wonderful encouragement from everybody I spoke to, because the bottom line was, it's small, right? So on Monday, I had my appointment with the breast surgeon, oncologist at UT Southwestern Medical School. Her name is Dr. Rajni Rao, and I think she's just an incredible woman, just really, really good at what she does. And I met with her. She again confirmed everything that I thought I knew at that point, that we will probably, based on further tests, but most likely we'll go ahead and do a lumpectomy. And depending on, again, test after test after test, the question marks of radiation and chemo and long-term treatment was all kind of fuzzy, but my prognosis was very good. I'm very young, I'm very healthy, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. So as part that afternoon, I actually, at UT Southwestern Medical School, they did another sonogram, and they then also did a MRI. And that was the first MRI I've ever had in my life. I've never had a previous MRI, and it really was fine. I wasn't freaked out. I didn't feel claustrophobic. I lay dead still there for 45 minutes, knowing that they're taking 900 pictures of my breasts. And I was still upbeat, as upbeat as you can be when you hear that you have breast cancer. The next day, on Tuesday, I got a call in the early afternoon from Dr. Rao, and she started her conversation with me of, Mrs. Salmran, is this a good time? Would you like to sit down? And why do you say that to people? Because at the end of the day, when you start a conversation with those words, everybody knows that whatever is coming next is just so not what they want to hear. So anyway, I sat down and I put her on speakerphone. My husband Rick was there with me, and she told me that unfortunately the MRI is showing that my cancer is 4 centimeters. Now guys, let me just tell you, from 1.5 centimeters to 4 centimeters, it's big. It's just really big. It's as big as Texas. And I had this sickening feeling in my stomach. I mean, I'm glad I was sitting down. And she also went on to say that the MRI showed the way that the cells and the cancer is shown on the MRI, that it is invasive. And so because it is such a gigantic piece of cancer, that we need to start chemo probably immediately, and to see if we can shrink this puppy down before they do any surgery. And I also went immediately to UT Southwestern that afternoon so that they can do a second biopsy, because remember, initially it was 1.5 centimeters, so the original biopsy was done on a very small part of this tumor. And the second biopsy, what they wanted to do was to really biopsy the entire mass. And additionally, I personally had to have a lymph node biopsy. I just needed to know. It was one of those things. I'm an analytical person, and I need to know the facts. However good or bad they are, I have to know the facts. And so that afternoon I had a second biopsy and also a lymph node biopsy, although at the time we felt fairly sure that my lymph nodes might, still not be involved in this cancer at all. I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt that that day was the darkest day of my year, probably one of the darkest days of my life. And one of the things when I was there, during the course of all this, I said to them, why? And it came and they said to me, well, Mrs. Selmran, you have dense breast tissue. And when you have dense breast tissue, an MRI is not necessarily effective or as sensitive to see and find tumors in dense breast tissue. And that was the first time I heard about this. I have never in my life heard the terms dense breast tissue. Had no idea what it means. I've never heard about a mammogram not be foolproof. I grew up, and as a 40-some-year-old, early 40-some-year-old, I have entire faith in mammograms. They're not wrong. They find everything. That's why we have them done every year. And so they showed me my mammogram that was taken, and they explained to me that dense breast tissue shows white on a mammogram, as does a tumor. So guys, here's a great analogy for those of you that still don't understand this. It would be like trying to find a baby polar bear cub in the snow. Okay, it's white on white. The mammogram is not sensitive enough to penetrate dense breast tissue. And so therefore, my little cancer have been happily growing away for who knows how long, but probably a couple of years. And now I have stage 2 breast cancer and a 4-centimeter mass that appears to be invasive and really bad. How much are you willing to go the extra yards to get yourself screened with supplemental techniques to maybe help you not be a statistic like me, where you end up with a tumor that is significantly larger than it should have been? It has become a personal issue for me. It is very personal, of course, but I really have spoken to many, many women, and across the board, nobody has heard about this. We are talking about smart, educated, informed people that have never heard about dense breast tissue and the risks associated with that when it comes to early detection of a tumor. The governor of Connecticut signed into law the week of my breast surgery. Oh, by the way, that's right, I did have breast surgery on the 19th of June. I had a lumpectomy. And on the 16th of June, the governor of Connecticut signed into law the first of its kind, where women are required to be informed about dense breast tissue and the subsequent possibility that a mammogram may not be effective in finding a tumor as part of early detection. And I want that law that was signed in Connecticut to become the law in every state. Every woman everywhere need to know when she has this dense breast tissue and that risk that is associated with that. And I ask every one of you to go tell every woman you know, find out what kind of tissue you have.